He walked into the cage with rainbow-colored braids, flashing confidence like a warrior prince from another dimension. The crowd didn't know if they were witnessing a fighter or a future legend, but the moment the lights hit his face, the sugar show had arrived. It wasn't about arrogance, it was prophecy. From the way he moved to the precision of his punches, Sean O'Malley made you believe you were witnessing something rare, an artist disguised as a cage fighter. And with one lightning strike, he silenced doubt, exploded through the airwaves, and left a trail of, "Who the hell is this kid?" echoing across the MMA world. That wasn't just a knockout, it was a declaration, a colorful, violent, unforgettable beginning to a new era. But legends aren't born in the spotlight, they're forged in obscurity. Long before the UFC lights found him, Sean was a misunderstood kid in cold, frozen Helena, Montana, where winter cut through bones and rebellion brewed in silence. School didn't fit him. He didn't want rules, bells, or authority figures. What he wanted was movement, space, and rhythm. He played sports but never got the ball. He had speed, vision, swagger, but no one handed him the keys. So he took a different path. A boxing gym tucked away, a coach who saw what others missed, and a teenage spark that was about to burn through the snow. The Sugar Show wasn't born in Vegas. It started with a Montana kid who couldn't sit still and refused to be ordinary. He didn't just dream of greatness, he stalked it. At 16, Sean was already knocking people out in kickboxing matches, spinning back fists, head kicks, lightning-fast flurries. Not because he was trained by world-class killers, but because he imagined it, believed it, and made it real. He once told himself his very first punch in a fight would be a spinning back fist, and it was. It landed. Perfect. Like fate had been rehearsing that moment forever. That wasn't luck. That was vision. And when you grow up skinny, broke, and overlooked, sometimes belief is the only weapon you've got. And for Sean, that belief was lethal, but Helena was too small to hold his ambition. He saved up $2,000, paid off his Nissan Altima, and left. No grand plan, just faith. He drove south all the way to Arizona, chasing a blurry dream with nothing but talent, hunger, and a stubborn refusal to give up. That car ride changed everything. It led him to Tim Welch, a gritty, grounded fighter-turned-coach who saw the fire in Sean's eyes and offered him something most fighters never get: belief. Not just in talent, but in the whole journey. Tim picked him up from the airport and welcomed him onto a couch. That futon became the launching pad for destiny. Sean got his ass kicked for weeks. Every sparring round, every grappling session, every breath inside the MMA lab felt like drowning. But he didn't quit, didn't fold, didn't run. He kept coming back, bruised, bleeding, learning, and somewhere in that pain, a bond formed. Sean and Tim weren't just fighter and coach. They were brothers, war planners, dreamers who spoke the same fight language. They studied film together, broke down opponents like puzzles, and built a system around Sean's unorthodox style: elusive, electric, and vicious. While others fought with brute force, Sean danced through danger and struck like a cobra dipped in neon paint. Then came Dana White's Contender Series, the moment, the shot, the night where everything could explode or vanish. Most fighters come in cautious. Sean came in like a thunderclap. Spinning kicks, precision strikes, swagger in every step. Snoop Dogg on commentary lost his mind. The fans went wild. And when that knockout landed, the MMA world stopped. That was it. No more unknown kid from Montana. No more couch sleeper. Sean O'Malley had arrived. He didn't just win a fight, he hijacked the UFC spotlight and held it hostage. The Sugar Show was no longer a dream, it was prime time. The UFC debut felt like destiny unfolding in real time. The lights, the cameras, the crowd, it didn't shake him, it empowered him. He walked out like he owned the moment, danced through 3 rounds and left undefeated. People didn't just talk about his win, they obsessed over how he made it look easy. And then came the questions. Was he hype? Was he ready for killers? Was this flash or fury? Sean didn't flinch. "Just wait," he said. "I'm only getting started." He wasn't selling wolf tickets. He was announcing war. But war isn't always fair. And Sean was about to learn that not all battles are fought inside the octagon. A tainted supplement flagged him for a USADA violation. Twice. No fault of his own, no advantage gained. Just bad luck and a system too blind to notice. They pulled him from fights, suspended him, robbed him of momentum. Behind the smiles and rainbow hair, Sean cracked. He cried when the call came. Furious, betrayed, helpless. But he didn't run. He faced it, took it, endured. And when he returned, it wasn't the same sugar show. It was version 2.0. Smarter, sharper, deadlier. He came back with fire in his heart and chaos in his hands. Every strike had intent. Every movement was polished. He knocked out Jose Quinones with the calm of a sniper. Then came Eddie Wineland, an OG, a warrior, a veteran. Sean didn't blink. Walk-off knockout. One shot, no follow-up needed. It was cold, clean, and utterly disrespectful in the most beautiful way. And just like that, the critics returned. Not to doubt, but to fear. Was this kid actually that good? Or were we just witnessing the beginning of something that couldn't be stopped? Then came Chito Vera, the one loss on Sean's record that still sparks war in every comment section. A freak accident, a kick to the nerve that shut down his leg, drop foot, no mobility. He tried to fight, tried to survive, but Chito pounced, landed elbows, and the ref called it. Officially, it was a TKO loss. But Sean, he never accepted it. He sold undefeated merch, claimed the fight as a fluke, called himself the real champ. Critics mocked him, fans debated, but he never backed down. Because deep down, he knew. That wasn't the end of anything. That was the middle of a storm still raging. The storm only sharpened him. While the world did 200 significant strikes, clean, fast, devastating. It was the chaos inside him found a center. He still fought like an artist, but now he trained like a... Then came the controversy, an eye poke. Munhoz couldn't continue. No contest. The fans groaned. Sean was frustrated. He believed he was winning. He believed Munhoz was looking for a way out. And once again, the internet split into factions. Was it a foul? Was it fear? Sean didn't argue. He just moved on. Because deep down, he knew his next chapter would silence everything. That next chapter came wrapped in fire. Peter Yan, the boogeyman of the division. Former champion, savage striker. Arguably the most dangerous bantamweight alive. Sean called for the fight, not because it made sense, but because it made legacy. They fought in Abu Dhabi, and what followed was one of the most electrifying 3-round wars in recent memory. Sean dropped Yan, took Yan down, got hurt, fought back. It was chaos, skill, blood, and heart. When the final bell rang, no one could breathe. The judges called it for Sean, a split decision. The world erupted. Debates exploded. But it didn't matter, because now Sean had done what most said he couldn't. He went to war with the best and walked out with his hand raised. That win changed everything. No longer a prospect, no longer a viral sensation. Sean O'Malley was now a title contender. The UFC knew it. The fans knew it. Even the haters had to admit it. The Sugar Show wasn't a gimmick. It was a movement. And the next stop was destiny. Aljamain Sterling, the champion, the backpack, the grappling phenom. On paper, it was the striker versus grappler cliché. The test everyone believed Sean would fail. But he didn't come to survive. He came to finish. And that's exactly what he did. August 19, 2023. A date Sean will never forget. He stepped into the cage with calm fury, defended every takedown, kept the distance, measured Sterling's movements, and then found the chin. One shot, precision, chaos. The champ folded. The crowd erupted. Sean didn't need a second chance. The belt was his. The Sugar era had officially begun. And in that moment, years of doubt, disrespect, suspensions, and injuries were all burned away in the fire of that knockout. Sean wasn't just a star now. He was king. But kings don't rest. Chito Vera loomed in the shadows, the one man with a win over Sean. The rematch was inevitable. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about closure. Sean trained like a man possessed. No injuries, no nerves, no flukes. And when the cage door shut, he painted Cheeto with the same brilliance he'd shown before. Sharp, calculated, unrelenting. He didn't get the knockout, but he got domination. 5 rounds of control, 5 rounds of payback. The only thing more powerful than revenge was redemption. And Sean had both. He walked out of the cage that night with the belt still on his waist, his legacy growing by the second. And yet the hunger remained. The Sugar Show wasn't about fame anymore. It was about mastery. Sean O'Malley didn't just want to be the face of the UFC. He wanted to be the greatest bantamweight of all time. And in that pursuit, every fight became sacred. Every moment mattered. Because for Sean, this wasn't just about fighting. It was about building an empire. With fists, there was a mind obsessed with mastery. He studied film with a surgeon's patience, trained with intention. Every fight, every session, every recovery was logged, broken. The pain of being sidelined by USADA, the sting of the Cheeto loss, the doubts that came like vultures during the... He used the silence to sharpen the sword. Tim Welch stood beside him every step of the way, not just as a coach, but as a war general. Together, they turned setbacks into strategy and doubts into data. And every time Sean stepped back into the cage, he brought with him a more refined version of the chaos. Outside the octagon, Sean built a world, a podcast, a Twitch stream, a YouTube channel. He wasn't just fighting under the UFC banner, he was building his own empire inside it. Fans didn't just tune in for knocking. They mocked the hair, the fashion, the interviews. But when the bell rang, their insults turned to awe. Because Sean didn't just talk, he delivered. Whether it was a walk-off knockout or a 3-round clinic, his performances spoke louder than part of a master plan. And the deeper you studied him, the more terrifying he became. Because he wasn't fighting like a typical striker. He was calculating in real time. A sniper wrapped in swagger. Artistry with the power to end you. And then came the clash with Peter Yan, a fight that felt like a test from the gods. Most thought Sean was stepping in too deep, that he'd be bullied, broken, exposed. But when the cage locked, Sean transformed into something else. He danced through danger, landed clean shots, and ate Jan's best. He didn't just survive, he thrived. He bled, he rallied, and in those moments of chaos, he showed the world that hype doesn't go 3 rounds with killers, it wins. That night, the division saw the truth. Sean O'Malley was no longer chasing the throne, he was storming the gates. Victory brought fame, but it also brought a different kind of pressure. Eyes everywhere, expectations sky high. People weren't just watching for fun anymore. They were watching to judge, to dissect, to pray for the downfall. But Sean didn't buckle. He embraced it. The lights, the noise, the doubters. It all fed the fire. Because while they whispered behind screens, he was grinding in silence. Training like the hungry rookie who once drove a beat-up Altman across state lines. He knew that to keep the belt, you couldn't just fight. You had to outlast. You had to outgrow. You had to outbelieve. That belief became armor. Whether it was haters online or pressure in the cage, Sean carried himself with the calm of a monk and the ruthlessness of a killer. He'd walk into press conferences like it was recess, joke with opponents, flash smiles, and then obliterate them under the lights. It wasn't showmanship, it was psychological warfare. He disarmed you with charm, then dismantled you with violence. Opponents didn't just lose to Sean, they unraveled. Because he wasn't just fighting bodies, he was breaking minds. And yet, through all of it, he never forgot where he came from. He still plays Call of Duty with Tim, still posts up with his daughter, still jokes about the futon that started it all. He hasn't traded humility for hype. He just learned how to balance both, to be larger than life without losing himself. And that's what separates legends from flashes, the ability to stay grounded while standing on the world's biggest stage. That's the real Sugar Show. A kid from Montana, now draped in gold, still chasing greatness like it's his first day in the gym. But for Sean, the journey was never just about belts. It was about purpose. It's about a mindset. The belief that you can be flashy and fierce, bold and brilliant, soft-spoken off-cage and savage inside it. Sean didn't rewrite the rules. He burned them down and danced in the ashes. And as the division scrambles to catch up, one truth becomes painfully clear. This isn't just Sean O'Malley's time. This is Sean O'Malley's world. He was never meant to blend in. That was clear from the beginning. In a sport obsessed with grind, grit, and gray, Sean arrived in color, neon, loud, expressive, unapologetic. But don't confuse flash for fluff. Beneath the rainbow braids and viral moments lived a technician. Someone who saw striking as geometry, footwork as chess, and distance as a language. His ability to read a fight was scary. He didn't just dodge punches, he saw them coming seconds before they launched. And while others focused on strength and toughness, Sean perfected angles and rhythm. He didn't beat you at your game. Training, he was optimizing. He'd study his own fights the way a scientist studies film. Not for highlights, for holes. He'd break down his mistakes with surgical honesty, fix them, then repeat. It wasn't about ego, it was about truth. Because Sean knew something most fighters didn't. The belt isn't won in the cage. It's won in the days, weeks, and months when no one's watching. And no one watched closer than his coach, Tim Welch. Their chemistry had evolved into something sacred. A bond built not just on training, but on trust. Tim didn't just prepare Sean for battle. He prepared Sean for war. Every game plan, every drill, every strategic shift was tailored for one thing: absolute control. And Sean followed that trust blindly because Tim had been there from day one, from the futon days to the championship stage. This wasn't a fighter and a coach. This was a dynasty in motion, a mind meld of strategy and execution. And yet, amidst the dominance, Sean stayed playful. He'd joke with fans, troll opponents, live stream game sessions, and share moments with his daughter like any proud dad. But don't mistake his joy for softness. That smile was a blade. And when the cage door closed, cold, calculated, there were no nerves, no hesitation, just instinct. And once the bell rang, Sean didn't wait for openings. He created them. He didn't react to pressure. He inverted it. Made you panic in space. Made you second-guess your own strengths. The MMA world began to understand something dangerous. Sean wasn't just skilled. He was inevitable. His timing made faster fighters look slow. His vision made stronger opponents miss. He was long but explosive, precise but unpredictable. And above all, he was composed. Never rushed, never forced, always in control, like a conductor guiding chaos into symphony. You didn't just lose to Sean, you wondered when the hell it all slipped away. And the best part? He wasn't done. He hadn't even peaked. At 28, Sean was just entering his prime. His body was healthy, his mind was sharp, and his still unproven. He'd hit mitts with obsession, drill escapes until his body ached, study footage until his vision blurred. He wasn't training to survive, asking, "Did I earn this?" For Sean O'Malley, that question matters. Fame can inflate a persona, but it can't sustain a soul. And as the Sugar Show scaled new heights, Sean learned the difference between recognition and respect. One can be given, the other must be built. Slowly, painfully. The weight cuts that leave your lips cracked and your heart thudding in silence. The training days where your body rebels, but quitting isn't an option. The time away from family, the missed birthdays, the tears behind closed doors. Sean embraced them all. Not because he enjoyed the pain, but because he respected the price. Every great champion knows this. The belt is just a symbol. The real title is invisible, and it's earned through invisible placement of a hip during a scramble. He wasn't just training to beat opponents, he was training to master moments, to be able to read a fighter's intention before it left their body, to counter not just the action, but the mindset. That's how legends are built, not by brute force, but by intellectual warfare. Sean had entered that rare phase where instinct and intelligence walked hand in hand. But for all his growth, Sean never lost his edge. Maturity didn't soften him, it refined him. He still talked his talk, but the energy behind it had changed. No longer defensive, no longer reactionary. Now it came from assurance. He wasn't trying to prove he belonged. He knew he did, and that confidence made him dangerous. Because a man who knows who he is can't be broken. Not by boos, not by pressure, not by defeat. And opponents could feel it. That unshakable center, that refusal to waver, that quiet message behind every stare. I know something you don't. As the division evolved, Sean remained the axis. New contenders rose, but they circled him. Some brought hype, some brought skill, but none brought the full package. None could match his combination of poise, power, and precision, and none had walked through the fire the way he had. The PED scandals, the nerve damage, the media storms, the Cheeto loss, the eye poke controversy. Sean faced them all, stood tall, and kept moving forward. Because champions aren't defined by perfect records, they're defined by perfect rebounds. And as those rebounds stacked, so did his legacy. Fans who once doubted him now celebrated him. Critics who once mocked him now analyzed him. And legends who once ignored him now mentioned his name with respect. Khabib, Rogan, DC. They saw it. Not just the knockouts, but the craft, the complexity, the calm. Sean O'Malley wasn't a fluke. He wasn't a gimmick. He was a technician disguised in neon, a tactician wrapped in flash. And the more you looked, the more you realized. He wasn't like anyone else. But perhaps the greatest evolution wasn't in the cage. It was in how Sean carried his success. Private flights, first-class hotels, luxury, fame. He tasted it all, but didn't drown in it. He still trained in small gyms, still laughed with his friends, still gamed online, still found joy in the mundane. That's the mark of someone who has truly arrived, not just physically but emotionally. To have everything and still choose the grind. To have options and still choose the uncomfortable. Sean chose it again and again because he knew something most never learn. Greatness isn't a destination, it's a rhythm. You don't reach it, you repeat it. And that rhythm became sacred. Wake, train, learn, heal, repeat. While the world screamed for new content, Sean stayed quiet, focused, patient. He didn't chase headlines. He created them when it mattered. He didn't respond to call-outs. He let his resume speak. He didn't beg for attention. He earned it with every knockout, every interview, every carefully chosen word. Because he knew that legacy isn't built in noise. It's built in silence, in the painful reps that no one counts, in the stillness of a champion who doesn't need to be seen to know who he is. And in that stillness, he found something unshakable. Peace, not comfort, not complacency, but peace. The kind that only comes when you know you've paid the price in full. The kind that lets you walk into the cage with a smile, knowing that whatever happens, you left nothing to chance. His shoulder, eyes locked on whoever dared to stand across from him. One thing became clear. This wasn't just the sugar show anymore. This was the sugar standard, and the world was watching. He didn't arrive in this sport with Olympic medals or a pedigree from championship camps. He arrived with conviction, a belief that if he mastered his craft, stayed authentic, and walked his own path, he could become one of the greatest to ever step inside the octagon. And now, with gold around his waist, respect at his feet, and a storm of contenders circling, Sean O'Malley stands as a testament to the power of individuality. He never conformed, never compromised, and never cracked. And in doing so, he forced the fight game to bend around him, not the other way around. There's a reason his story resonates deeper than most. It isn't just a tale of knockouts and press conferences. It's a tale of reinvention, of a kid from Helena who defied every odd, who stared down poverty, skepticism, bureaucracy, injury, and doubt, and smiled back with dyed hair and a spinning back kick. His rise wasn't linear, it wasn't smooth, but it was relentless. And that relentlessness is what built the mythos of Suga. A fighter who doesn't just win, but wins in ways that redefine what winning looks like. And while his highlight reel continues to grow, so does the challenge. The bantamweight division is a shark tank. Killers everywhere. Hungry names, dangerous styles. Grapplers, brawlers, veterans, upstarts. But Sean isn't worried, because when the cage door closes, no one has more range, more precision, or more poise. He doesn't fight to survive. He fights to create. He doesn't chase chaos. He engineers it. Every feint, every twitch, every shot thrown is rooted in hundreds of hours of sweat, failure, repetition, and mental sharpening. It's not magic, it's mastery. Still, mastery isn't static, and Sean knows that. That's why he's constantly studying, tweaking, improving. The Sugar Show isn't a destination. It's an ever-evolving organism. His strength lies in his humility to grow while standing at the summit. He doesn't see the belt as validation, it's motivation. Proof that the system he built, the team he trusted, and the voice he never silenced were right. And now with that belt, he carries more than gold. He carries responsibility. To prove that being different isn't a liability, it's a weapon. Behind the flash, there's a philosophy. Be unpredictable, be undeniable, be unforgettable. That's why fans tune in, that's why legends take notice, and that's why opponents hesitate. Because Sean doesn't fight like the others. He makes moments, he creates art in motion. His octagon is a canvas, his fists, brushes, his footwork, the rhythm, and every time he steps in, something new is written, something that can't be replicated. That's not just talent, that's purpose, that's vision, that's greatness in motion. And even as cameras follow, sponsors line up, and followers multiply, Sean's center hasn't shifted. He still finds joy in the small things, in watching Elena laugh, in morning training sessions, in late-night gaming streams with his crew. Because for Sean, success isn't about changing who you are. It's about expanding what you're capable of. And every version of himself that he sheds in this journey becomes a layer in the legacy he's building. One that's loud, one that's proud, one that can't be ignored. But perhaps the most powerful element of Sean's journey is this. He made people believe, not just in him, but in themselves, in the idea that you can come from nothing, act differently, dress boldly, and still rise to the very top. That you don't need to fit the mold to break the ceiling. He's not just a champion, he's a symbol of defiance, of freedom, of creation, and his rise is a wake-up call to a sport that too often demands conformity. Because Sean didn't get here by being what the sport wanted. He got here by being exactly what it needed. As he stares ahead at future challengers, new rivals, greater stages, the fire in Sean's eyes hasn't dimmed. It's grown, not from fear of falling, but from love of climbing. Every fight is another page, every round another brushstroke, and somewhere deep inside, he knows this story isn't close to over, because there are still doubters to silence, still wars to wage, still history to write, and he's never been more ready to embrace all of it, with open arms and closed fists. And so the Sugar Show rolls on, louder, sharper, more dangerous than ever. Not just because of what he's done, but because of what he's still becoming. The knockouts, the call-outs, the chaos, they're only part of the picture. The real masterpiece is unfolding behind the scenes. And if you look closely, you'll see it. In the precision, in the passion, in the poise, a story still being written, a crown still being chased, a man still sharpening his sword. And as the lights fade on each fight, and the crowd's roar becomes a distant echo, the question remains, not whether Sean O'Malley belongs among the greats. That's already been answered. The question now is this: how far can he go? How deep can his legend reach? How high can his name rise in the pantheon of combat? The Sugar era is no longer a dream. It's real. It's now. And if history is paying attention, it's time to lean in. Because the final chapter hasn't been written. It's only just begun.